We are now taking a trip to the dark side. The dark side of distance, and more specifically, the dark side of speed. Hi there, I'm Ryan Rastall, PGA professional here at Howley Hall Golf Club, and yes, you got it right, we're going to the dark side with the new Darkspeed series of drivers from COBRA. Welcome back to the Performance Centre here at Howley Hall Golf Club. Before we get into this club review, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. See loads more content from all of us here at Golfshake to help you play more and play better. We're in silly season now with all the club reviews coming thick and fast. Something's getting released pretty much every day throughout the month of January. We're heading into the Orlando PGA show, which we generally see lots of stuff released at. It seems like earlier and earlier each year, these new products are hitting the market, hitting the shelves and being seen out on tour. One product that has created quite a lot of buzz is the new driver series from COBRA. So Darkspeed is here. We have three very different models to test in the LS, the X and the Max to really suit different levels of golfer. But we're going to talk through a bit of the technology with these models right now. So if we look at each one individually, we'll start with LS, okay? So we can see that we've got movable weights here in the head, so we can shift that around a bit, make it a little bit more draw or fade bias if we want to. This head is going to sit naturally and play a little bit more naturally in a fade kind of setting. So it suits that person who maybe has higher club head speed, someone who hits that big towering draw sort of shape. But we can see the weights are more concentrated towards the center of the golf club here, not moved out to the outside. So what we should probably see here is a little bit less forgiveness than we see with the other two models. We'll talk a bit about the technologies that are kind of prevalent throughout this whole series in a second, but yeah, the LS is obviously low spin. We've got these two forward weights, one at the back there, so we can play around with those a little bit. So we've got a 3 gram weight at the back, 12 in the heel here and 3 in the toe at the moment. So obviously switching that 12 to the back, moving the 3 to the front is going to make it play slightly higher MOI. That tends to be the buzzword for this year, is how much MOI can a driver have. Well, this one, although it's low spin and less forgiving, we can move it to the back and make it play a little bit more so. So that's the LS. When we move into the X model, okay, this is the model that's probably going to suit the greatest amount of golfers really out there. So we're going to get some of the kind of performance benefit that we see in LS, but also with a little bit more forgiveness. So it's kind of a more rounded package for that person who maybe wants a bit more forgiveness, maybe doesn't hit the middle of the face quite as much, but still wants all of that technology. We see slightly different weighting here. We've got a 3 and a 12 again. So in standard position, the 12's forward. So again, that's probably going to make it play slightly lower MOI, a little bit less forgiving. We shift it to the back. We get a bit more launch on it, get a bit more spin, maybe keep that ball in the air a little bit longer, which for some of you will be a godsend. Now, when we move to the Max model, we can see that we still have those movable weights, but this time you can shift it into the heel. So this is the most draw bias option of the three that we have. So if you're that player who tends to slice it a little bit, maybe spin it, hit across it a bit too much, this should help you. And also exploring the club face. If you're that player who doesn't strike it particularly consistently, the Max model is going to help that. Now, let's have a bit of a look at the technologies throughout this family, if you like, of drivers. So we see this aerodynamic shape making it really, really quick. So COBRA kind of market this as out of this world speed, and we're going to find that out when we test it on the Trackman in a little while. But certainly COBRA drivers have always delivered in that speed category. They've varied in kind of looks, appearance and sometimes quality over the years, but generally they're quite loud, quite garish, quite bright. The last few releases have been a little bit more understated. So LTDX, last year with Aerojet, and now with Darkspeed, it's quite a quiet looking sort of design. I quite like it. It's quite stealthy, more of a matte kind of color as opposed to the gloss that we saw in Aerojet last year. So that may polarize some of you out there as well. But certainly I think it kind of harps back to the old LTD range that came out that was all matte on the top, and actually quite like the look of that. I do like the shaping of it. The aerodynamics is supposed to be something that we should see a performance difference and benefit with. So some aerospace engineering has been used in the development of these drivers to make them move through the air faster. So the movable weighting, the aerodynamics really helping to kind of tune the head in a bit more. We've got power bridge technology, which is basically in the internal kind of part of the driver really. So it's a way of maintaining the structure and stability so that we don't lose ball speed. So we're getting maximum energy transfer into the golf ball and helping you hit the ball further. Now, we also have this L face cup, which basically means that the face kind of wraps around the sole a little bit. That makes the what Cobra say is more robust distance. So basically that we're again getting better energy transfer and for the speed that we're swinging it at, we're going to get more of that speed getting into the golf ball. We've got the hot face technology as well, which basically means it's more consistent in different areas. So if we don't hit it out the middle, we should get ball speeds more akin to those center strikes that we have. But now that you've seen a little bit of a look at these three models, what we're going to do now is hit some on the Trackman. I'll give you a bit of feedback as I'm hitting them and kind of talk to you about what I'm seeing and feeling. But also then at the end, we're going to have a bit of a look at the data and see exactly how all these perform. So we're going to start off with the most forgiving, so the Max model here. I've got a 10.5 head set down at 9 degrees, so hopefully that might suit me a little bit better. I've just left the weights where they are with 12 at the back there and 3 in that sort of heel kind of drawish position. So this isn't as maximum draw as we can set it on, which hopefully again will suit me. Now, in terms of the shafts that are available, so this new Link shaft from UST is in there, and it's not one I've used before. It's available in the white, which is the lower spinning, blue and red, which obviously match the drivers, so the Max with the red, the standard with the blue, and then the LS with the white for it to be low spin. But I'm going to use this one in all 3 of the models that we're going to hit. So let's just give it a bit of a hit here on the Trackman. So in terms of the looks, sat behind the ball, it's obviously a bigger footprint than what I'm used to, okay? So I can see more mass behind it, almost verges on being a bit more triangular towards the back there. But sitting down behind the golf ball, I don't think it looks bad at all. I actually quite like that sort of matte look down on the top of it as well. So yeah, it sits nicely behind the ball for me and looks pretty good. So let's give it a hit. Certainly feels nice and solid off the face too. Yeah, it's better than I was expecting it to. As crazy as that sounds, but some of these models that you hit, the kind of higher MOI, more forgiving, slightly more kind of higher handicapper, probably focused drivers don't generally feel and sound that great, but that actually felt pretty good. Let's just hit one more. Getting really solid. It feels quick too. It feels like it's moving through the air quite briskly and quite quickly. Looking at those 2 that I've just hit there, again, the ball speeds are pretty good. Distances we're hitting them are pretty good as well, and certainly more than comparable to some of the drivers that we've tested so far this season. Right, I'm going to hit a few more with this, and then we're going to have a bit of a look at the standard model as well. So now we'll move on to the standard model, or the Darkspeed X, okay? Like I said before, this is the one that's probably going to suit the greatest array of golfers really, so from higher handicappers to lower handicappers, depending on what we want to do with the ball flight and the spin, etc. So I'm expecting this to be maybe a little bit less forgiving than the Max that we've just tried, but certainly still provide us with plenty of distance, and the Max was very impressive. So let's have a hit with this. Again, I've got the same loft, same shaft. So let's give it a hit. It does look a bit different behind the ball, so it's slightly different in terms of the sort of way that it sits. It's not quite as kind of triangular looking. It's slightly different really in the way there's less mass kind of in the heel area by the look of it. So let's have a bit of a hit and see what it feels like. Certainly sounds a bit more solid off the face than the Max. I mean, the Max felt good, but this is just that little bit kind of punchier, I suppose, when you hit it. It's pretty good. Let's hit a couple more. Really good, very impressive, those first two hits. I mean, the spin is very low, which I quite like. It's launching pretty nicely, distance is very, very good as well. So we'll obviously have a look at this when we look at all the results, but certainly very different to the Max. And I thought the Max was pretty good, to be honest. The Max is probably the lowest spinning and kind of most forgiving driver that I've hit for a while, actually. Certainly unexpected when you compare it to the other brands' kind of models that are supposed to be the most forgiving, really. Certainly the ones I've tried in Callaway and TaylorMade haven't felt as like I could game them, really. They're obviously not aimed at someone who swings it like I do, so they tend to be that bit more forgiving, higher spinning, higher launching. The Max wasn't, and this is almost like I would expect out of the low spin model, so we'll see exactly what happens when we hit the LS one as well. But for now, let me hit a few more, let's get some data so that we can have a good comparison at the end, but certainly very, very enjoyable to hit. Let's hit a couple more. Let's try the LS. So the X version was already extremely low spinning, maybe that's what X stands for, but the LS I'm expecting to be even less. When we look at the driver behind the ball, very different shape, more of a traditional look to it, which I quite like. Still sort of erring on that kind of triangular, elongated sort of shape from sort of the face to the back of the driver there. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, it just sort of stretches out a bit. I've just left the heavier weight in the heel and the lighter one towards the back, so this is pretty much as forward as we can get the weight in this driver as well, so we'd expect it to be even lower spin than the X model. Right, let's give it a hit. It certainly feels quick off the face, that is crazy. Didn't even feel that good a hit. It's gone, as you can see, pretty straight. I'm just reading the numbers off the screen here. 288 carry, 322. I mean, that's the longest I've hit so far, and the ball speed is probably the quickest as well. That's cool. Very surprised, actually. Like I say, that didn't even feel like a good one. So let's hit a couple more. Again, I've got it exactly the same loft, so it's down 9 degrees. Again with this Link extra stiff shaft in that we've got in Link white. So let's give it a bit of a hit. I felt a bit more out the middle. Let's see where that goes. A bit higher launch, 330, Jesus. So yeah, that's carried 298.6, so that is impressive. Ball speed now jumping up over that 170 mark. I never ever spin it below 2000, right? And with both the X and this, the spin is super low, which means potentially I can loft it up a bit, get a bit more flight on it, and I may get even more carry. So I'm always having to loft drivers down, right, to try and control that, because anything above kind of 8 degrees for me generally just spins like hell and I just lose loads of distance. But this, I mean, this is at 9, which is more than I would normally use, and spinning under 2000 RPM, which is absolutely bonkers. So yeah, very good to start with. I'm going to hit a couple more with it, and then we'll really have a look at the numbers and see if we can compare them. So it has to be said, when I started the test of this, I was not expecting the results that I got. So if we take a look at each one of these heads, so I've got all the results here on the screen from the Trackman. So we'll start with the one we hit first, which was Darkspeed Max. Okay, so we can see it's pretty good, yeah? So if we look at the numbers, they're decent. We're getting, you know, carry of around 280, 290, just short of 300 yards in terms of total distance. So pretty good, 280 carry. I'd be very happy with that. The spin's a bit on the high side at 3,000, but you know, we've got to remember that this is a driver that is aimed at you know, that sort of game improver, really, someone who maybe does need it to launch and spin a little bit more. And we can see from the numbers that it is doing that a little bit. So it's the highest in terms of the ball flight that we've hit, so 120 feet, and quite markedly so, really, when we look at that. But do you know what? It felt great. It didn't feel like a high spinning and kind of game improvery driver when I was hitting it. I thought it felt really, really good. But then we moved on to Darkspeed X, okay, which I said literally the first shot I hit with it felt so much more solid, and it did. It felt really, really good. The shape was slightly different. Has to be said, I do love the look of all these drivers, but I didn't really know when hitting these what to expect. And I think that's kind of symptomatic of Cobra as a brand. You just don't know what you're going to get. You generally get something pretty good, but are you going to get an F9 driver, which was amazing, or are you going to get something else which maybe what didn't quite blow you away as much? Now, I think this driver lineup is definitely better than the previous. Now, whether the fairway woods will be, I don't know. I've not hit them yet, but we will be doing a review of those in the weeks to come. But yeah, certainly from hitting the drivers, they're extremely hot off the face. They look good. I love that matte look on the top of them, and the performance is great. When we look at Darkspeed X, we can see the spins dropped massively to 2,171 RPM as an average. That means the carry's gone up a little bit, 284, 285-ish, and 316 total, which again, very good. Be very happy. Those of you that have seen the reviews we've done of the QI10 and also Paradigm AI Smoke know that is pretty much what I hit those drivers in terms of top end distance. I think the Paradigm was maybe 318, couple of yards longer, QI10 316. So they're pretty similar, do you know what I mean? They're within a couple of yards, so that's negligible really. But yeah, we can see the flights come down massively, 87 feet, so and lower spin. So potentially with these, and this kind of outlines why we need to get fitted for them, is that I probably need more loft in this, which is something I never thought I'd hear myself say. So this was at 9 degrees, maybe I could go up to 10 degrees. I don't think I've used a 10-degree driver since I started playing golf, but certainly I'd be willing to try if I was gonna get similar sort of numbers that I am here. So Darkspeed X was awesome, but then I hit this. So Darkspeed LS, this is a beast, okay? This is the driver that I've been wanting to use for ages. It is the lowest spinning driver I've ever hit in my life, right? So it doesn't feel hard to hit either. It feels like you can get away with it a little bit. Yes, these drivers, with it being an LS model, aren't going to be forgiving. They're not designed to be super forgiving. So you're not going to be able to tow it and heel it massively and get away with it. But if you're a good ball striker and a good player and you're going to hit it somewhere near the center, you are going to hit it longer with this, 100%. If you are a high club head speed player, if you're someone who does hit the ball a long way already, you are going to get longer with this, trust me. And I didn't think I'd hear myself saying that, but you are. From what I've just tried here, this is the lowest spinning driver I've ever tried in my life. And this is the longest I have ever hit it when I've done a club review in my life as well. And those of you that have been subscribers to the channel for a long time know that, you know, I hit it a decent distance, but kind of up to 320 is my kind of limit. I'm hitting this 327.5 yards average of the shots that I've just hit, okay? I've got some over 330, and that's I don't hit it that far, okay? I swing it around the 116, 17 miles an hour mark when I'm swinging it nicely, and generally get ball speeds of 170 to 172, but I don't get the spin down under 2,000 RPM, and that's exactly what I'm seeing with Cobra. And don't think that Cobra are paying us tons of money to tell you these drivers are amazing. They are not. We are impartial. We don't prefer one brand over another. I don't care which brand in here or which brand that we test is the best. I'm not bothered. But all I'm telling you is my honest feedback of this driver. It's bloody long, all right? So if you're a player, like I say, who maybe spins it loads and wants to knock that down, this could be the one for you. If you're that player who hits it a long way already and wants to hit it further, this could be the one for you. I'm not saying it's the answer to all your prayers. You're not going to be able to tow it and heel it and get away with it as much as some of those out there on the market. But that's not really who this driver's aimed at. I think it's aimed at someone who's a pretty good ball striker and maybe someone who's got a bit of speed as well, because you're going to need some speed to get the thing in the air, because like I say, it's such low spin that I think I would have to maybe go up to 10.5 degrees in this head, which is mad. I just can't fathom how I would play with that really. But I've not used a driver of that loft in my life. So yeah, very, very, I suppose surprised is the word, but I shouldn't be, because Cobra make amazing equipment and have done loads over the years. I had the Aerojet 3-wood in my bag all last season and just loved it. It was so good. But this is better than the Aerojet driver, let me tell you. Particularly for that player who wants to lower spin. And obviously the Max is there for the forgiveness, the X is there for a bit of a mixture of the two, and the LS is there for your good ball striker who wants to hit it a long way. Hopefully you've enjoyed that video. I've loved testing them and certainly was pleasantly surprised by what I saw here from Cobra. We're hopefully going to hit some of these outside. We're going away soon to Portugal. We're going to use them out there on the golf course as well and give you some more feedback as to what we find when we try these drivers. But these are good.